First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Florida Fish and Wildlife officials are proposing changes to the no-wake zone rules for the Santa Fe River. Good evening. It's Tuesday, July 7th. I'm Jenna Sands.
And I'm Marie Edinger. Thanks for joining us. Some boaters agree with the plan to loosen the no-wake rules, but some residents who live along the river want to see stricter regulations. Jonathan Munoz joins us now in the studio. Jonathan, you met with residents from the property boats there, and they say boaters are becoming increasingly dangerous. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
That's right. I met with residents of Three River Estates, which lies right next to the Ichetucknee and the Santa Fe River. And while Florida Fish and Wildlife officials are looking to loosen restrictions for boats on the river, residents say it's becoming dangerous for tubers and for property.
The Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission is going to consider raising the threshold of the no-wake trigger for the Santa Fe River.
It's a trigger on the Santa Fe River. When it gets to 17 feet, the flashing lights come on that say no wake. So the boaters would like that trigger to be raised to 19 feet, which actually is our flood stage level.
And Daly says that this would cause boaters to drive too close to private property.
When the river's flooded, they literally drive their boats over the top of people's docks because the river is that high.
And safety is another issue of concern. Residents say idle speeds need to be stricter because more boats are on the river, making it more dangerous for people tubing there. The river is about 30 feet wide, leaving little room for everyone to share the water.
This is not the size of river for motorboats. It just isn't. Come enjoy the river in a canoe, a kayak, a paddle boat, an electric trolling motor.
Residents also say that there's been an increase in people ignoring the no-wake zones. A YouTube video from this past Memorial Day holiday shows boaters and jet skiers going at high speeds through the narrow river, causing waves to come crashing to shore. And this has caused some close calls with tubers.
If a boat is coming up, a lot of times you cannot paddle away with a large tube.
Daly and Nano both said that they will be attending the FWC workshop on Thursday at 6 p.m. in Fort White. They will argue that more protection needs to be given to both of the waterways.
Thanks, Jonathan. Life South community blood centers across Florida, Georgia, and Alabama are in emergency need of donations. The months of June and July are usually a slow time for the donation center. Life South is looking to take these empty chairs and fill them with donors over the next few days. Life South relies heavily on Gainesville residents to help provide blood across north central Florida. But with many university students and residents on summer vacation, it's harder for them to collect as many donations as they do throughout the year.
So a lot of our donors just aren't here. This affects the blood supply because we supply all the local hospitals, and as you know, Shands in North Florida see those traumas and need that blood.
Every blood donation can save up to 3 lives. Life South officials say they need blood donations of all types, but especially A and O negative.
The slide at Gainesville's West Side Pool is currently shut down after a lightning strike. Park managers shut it down as a precaution after lightning hit the slide's pump. The park is working to get the pump fixed as soon as possible, but the cost to repair the slide could be up to $1,000. While the rest of the pool remains open, the slide is predicted to be reopened by Thursday morning. And thank goodness no one was hurt.
Definitely. But UF forecaster Rebecca Kopelman tells us another location in Gainesville was also struck by lightning over the weekend. Rebecca?
There was a video of a lightning strike near Wendy's off Archer Road that was captured on Sunday. This is the same storm that occurred in the story that we told you about yesterday with the woman that was unfortunately killed from her injuries in that cell when a tree limb fell on top of her, and she did die of her injuries later, as we reported yesterday. And this storm did not have a severe warning on it either, but it can still cause some damage. Check out this video that was captured by Holland Hoffman outside of the Wendy's off Archer Road. And you can just hear the power of that lightning strike, and even in non-severe storms, lightning can occur just as it is occurring right now on Storm Track radar, and you want to remain in the interior of your home away from trees and windows when this does occur, even if there aren't any warnings, just as there aren't right now. But there is still some strong activity in portions of Alachua County near Highway 301 for the evening commute, some heavy rainfall and some frequent lightning strikes occurring. That's where the heaviest and the strongest of the activity will be occurring for the next couple of hours, but some of this activity could start to push towards the I-75 corridor and close to Gainesville through about 10 o'clock tonight. Then most areas will start to dry out. I'll let you know when rain chances go down and temperatures go up in my main weather forecast.
Thanks, Rebecca. Well, a familiar face is inviting Waldo students to stop by and check out their new assigned school in Hawthorne.
That's right. The big changes coming to Shell Elementary School include bringing in the Waldo principal. Some special programs are moving with her, and WFT's Shante Shedrick joins us now with that part of the story. Shante?
Well, you know, everyone sees the Waldo closing as a big transition, but the goal is for one school with enough critical mass to be bigger and better, making whatever travel time worth it. The principal also hopes that every student, whether from Waldo or Hawthorne, will be entering a re-energized learning community.
You believe that you're a good person.
Good job! Since the closing of Waldo Community School, teachers and administrators at Shell Elementary in Hawthorne have been working to welcome the Waldo students in some of their special programs. The previous principal in Waldo, Holly Burton, will now be the head administrator at Shell.
We're bringing all of the best things that Shell has offered in the past and adding in all of the best things that Waldo had to offer as well, and just making a really great experience for kids.
With this new leadership opportunity, Burton will bring several years of teaching experience in a new leadership development program called the 7 Habits of Happy Kids.
I'm a leader, because that's what you are.
Faculty and staff will be trained to help students boost their critical and creative thinking through programs such as Fast Forward, Bookworm, and 21st Century Enrichment.
Our 4th and 5th graders will have personal laptops to use throughout the day in class and be able to use them in every subject and interact with their teachers through laptop use, as well as, you know, regular traditional methods of teaching.
New students and their parents are welcome to come by this summer to tour the school and ask questions. The annual Meet the Teacher event will be held on the afternoon of Friday, August 21st. Reporting live from the newsroom, Shante Shedrick, WUFT News.
Thanks, Shante. Giant ants invaded the University of Florida today, but not to worry, they are just sculptures. The 2 sculptures were installed today on the front lawn of the Florida Museum of Natural History. The nearly 7-foot-tall sculptures are here as a part of UF's Creative Bee program. They are being presented in conjunction with the screening of the classic and horror film Them on Friday. Starting in 2010, Creative Bee is a summer program dedicated to various art performances and activities across UF's campus.
So it's just really just to you know, highlight the creative forces on campus to first-year students, to incoming students, to get them out to these places, to the museums.
Florida-based artist is lending the sculptures to the museum for 1 year.
The world's largest cruise and leisure company could soon be sailing from Miami to Cuba. Carnival says it'll launch 7-night people-to-people tours from Miami to Cuba beginning next May, pending approval from the Cuban government. The company says it's already been granted approval from the U.S. The Cuba cruises would be offered through the company's new brand Fathom, which focuses on trips where the passengers do volunteer work. Carnival is expecting high demand for the voyages, with prices starting at just under $3,000 per person, plus taxes and port fees.
A Florida drug suspect tried to flee police, and the whole incident was caught on a police lapel camera. The traffic stop started normally with a Windermere police officer pulling over a speeding vehicle. But after running the driver's license, the officer returned to the car and thought he smelled marijuana. The officer said he asked Tyrone Lloyd if there were drugs in his car. That's when he says Lloyd drove off, leading to a chase. Officers say when they eventually stopped Lloyd, they found a gun and marijuana in the trunk.
And according to the Associated Press, a Gainesville man was one of the first to be gored in Spain's running of the bulls. Thousands of thrill seekers tested their bravery and speed this morning by dashing alongside bulls through the streets of Pamplona. Mike Webster was stabbed in the armpit during the run. The occupational therapist from Gainesville was among several injuries on the first day of the festival. According to the Associated Press, Webster said he's been doing it for years but may not be back. He'll have to talk to his wife first.
WUFT News First at 5 is just getting started, and coming up, newly released documents shed light on the allegations against Bill Cosby. We'll have more on that after the break.
Plus, South Carolina lawmakers debate the removal of the Confederate battle flag. Those stories and more coming up in 90 seconds. We'll be right back.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. Old sexual misconduct allegations against comedian Bill Cosby are being seen in a new light today. That's after a judge honored a legal request by the Associated Press to unseal a 2005 deposition the comedian gave 10 years ago. The question and answer session was for a case that eventually settled out of court. At one point, a lawyer asked Cosby this question about drugs. When you got the Quaaludes, was it in your mind that you were going to use these Quaaludes for young women that you wanted to have sex with? And Cosby replied yes.
He is the one saying that he did this, that he basically obtained drugs, at least in some capacity, for the purpose of incapacitating women.
In unsealing the deposition, the judge ruled Cosby must forfeit some privacy, not because of his celebrity as a comedian and actor, but because of his public moralizing and the seriousness of the charges. Now it's time to take a closer look at political news.
Alexis Cruz joins us now with the latest on the Confederate flag and more. Alexis?
Ladies, we have an update on South Carolina with another debate happening here in the heart of Florida. With the South Carolina Senate giving its final approval to remove the Confederate flag from State House grounds, the bill now moves on to the House, where it faces stronger opposition. The House voted this morning to avoid committee hearings and bring the Senate bill before the full House tomorrow. Democrats expect to hear pitches to keep the battle flag in front of the State House or to replace it with the original Confederate flag design that few recognize, or to move it to the Confederate Soldiers Memorial.
We would ask that the General Assembly of South Carolina, specifically the House, take the flag down and give people nothing to fight about. That they remove the flag and the pole and that nothing go up in its place.
The House Democratic Caucus plans to hold out for a clean bill with no amendments, no flag, and no flagpole. The debate is rippling nationwide here in Florida, where Alachua County may discuss the relocation of a Confederate statue. Marion County is going the other way. The administrator had a Confederate flag taken down after the Charleston church shooting, but the commission voted today to put it back up. It was a unanimous vote, with commissioners asking for extra signage to explain the historical context of all flags flying at the government complex. There are more signs presidential candidate Bernie Sanders is surging in New Hampshire with his progressive themes. Polls show him closing within 10 points of Hillary Clinton, and a Monday rally in Portland had to be moved to an arena to accommodate the 7,000 people who showed up. They heard Sanders say the country should address income inequality, break up the big banks, expand entitlement programs, and make all public colleges tuition-free.
They understand that the greed of Wall Street and the greed of corporate America is destroying the great middle class of this country.
That message may also play well in some of the other early decision states. A poll found his support among Iowa Democrats is up from 15% in May to 33% now. The politics of the war on ISIS was a center stage today in Capitol Hill. Secretary of Defense Ash Carter and Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Martin Dempsey appeared before the Senate Armed Services Committee. They defended the pace of airstrikes, but admitted to a program to train Syrian rebels has a first batch of 60 rather than cranking out 3,000 to 5,000 a year. Senator John McCain told him the administration's thinking has, quote, a disturbing degree of self-delusion. The Greek finance minister is among those in Brussels today for an emergency summit on whether the Eurozone will offer a softer bailout for Greece. Greece, which voted against more austerity, is hoping billions in debt will be written off. There are already shortages and other painful consequences of being on the brink of leaving the euro. If forced out, it's feared that the Greek currency would be overproduced and devalued, triggering an economic disaster. Today, CNN released the GOP polls, and it seems that Donald Trump is at the top of the list. Are there any thoughts about this placement?
I was a little bit surprised to see that. I know he's been involved in a lot of controversy lately, but he still clearly has a huge backing.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how those ranks turn out. Thanks, Alexis. Well, we started off with a dry day today, but again, we saw some afternoon rain in North Central Florida.
And Rebecca's tracking some thunderstorms that could be coming through tonight. Rebecca?
Marie, Jenna, we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning for Putnam County just to the east of Palatka. This storm moving slowly to the north and east could be producing winds in excess of 60 miles an hour. Also frequent lightning strikes, possibly some small hail. I'll track the rest of these storms for you, let you know where they'll be tonight after the break. of the day, but strong thunderstorms are moving through North Florida right now. Welcome back. I'm UF forecaster Rebecca Kopelman, and as I told you right before the break, we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Putnam County, just to the west of the city of Palatka. This cell is capable of producing some damaging winds and up to about 60 miles an hour, and will be slowly moving to the north and east over the next couple of minutes. Could impact the eastern sides of Palatka as well, and will continue to move through Putnam County, approaching, and could actually start to push to the west as well over the next couple of hours. Interlochen 538, Florida Home 6 o'clock, Grandin 6:06, and there are also some cells in Alachua County right now. Has started to strengthen just to the south of Keystone Heights and Waldo, where we haven't seen much rain yet today. So these cells also capable of producing some frequent lightning and some heavy rainfall. Will approach the airport 5:43, Luis 5:49. Millhopper 6:11, and you'll be in the path of that. And there's this cell now entering northern portions of Gainesville that has been stationary for quite some time, but still capable of producing some lightning, so you want to stay indoors for this evening until these storms clear out of the area, and stay away from windows and away from trees. But today we had mostly clear conditions. A downpour came through briefly over the University of Florida, and we started to clear out a bit, but we're not out of the woods just yet. The sea breezes are starting to interact right near that Highway 301 corridor, and this activity is going to slowly start to push to the west, where there could be some additional showers and storms close to I-75. So future tracks showing that sea breeze merger near Highway 301 starting to push closer to Gainesville, Stark, portions of Levy County around 8 o'clock, and we won't be completely in the clear up until about 10 o'clock in the evening. Could even be some stronger storms moving towards the Nature Coast. You'll want to stay tuned to ufweather.org. We'll be tracking those storms for you tonight. But rain chances do start to go down after the 10, 11 o'clock hour. Temperatures fall into the 70s, and overall lows will be in the low 70s across North Florida. For your Wednesday, though, another chance for showers and storms, and the coverage I think is a bit higher in inland areas where the sea breezes likely merge over the I-75 corridor and just to the east near your drive time. So there could be some strong activity close to the evening commute, and that will start to fall apart by about 9 o'clock in the evening, but there could still be some gusty winds and some stronger activity. Rain chances do start to go down. Temperatures and heat index values start to go up. That's because high pressure is going to be moving in for the weekend, really starts to take hold on Saturday, but doesn't last very long. Low pressure starts to move back in by Sunday and to start off next week. So we have increased rain chances on Wednesday, lower chances starting on Thursday, mostly dry Friday and Saturday. Temperatures go up, heat index values in the triple digits. Rain chances increase Sunday and Monday.
Both the Florida and Florida State football teams are in the news today.
But for very different reasons. WUFT sports anchor Connor Ingalls joins us now.
Hey ladies, Florida got some good news today, but the Seminoles are dealing with a tough situation. I'll tell you about that. Plus, the Gators announced their full non-conference basketball schedule today. Some big name programs are on it. I'll get you caught up on everything in sports after the break. Welcome back to sports. I'm Connor Ingalls. The quarterfinals began for women's singles at Wimbledon today, but not before the men's fourth round could get wrapped up. I told you yesterday that Novak Djokovic and Kevin Anderson had their match delayed after 4 sets, and this morning the two got back at it. Djokovic completed his comeback, winning the final 3 sets to take it 6-7, 6-7, 6-1, 6-4, 7-5. The women were no less dramatic today. Serena Williams lost the opening set to Victoria Azarenka, but rallied to win the final 2 and the match, sending her to her 9th Wimbledon semifinal. Maria Sharapova was also pushed to 3 sets, but came out on top over Coco Vandeweghe. The two will face off in the semis on Thursday with a Wimbledon final berth on the line. Garbine Muguruza and Agnieszka Radwanska will compete in the other semifinal for the same opportunity. Under Billy Donovan, the Florida Gators basketball team began a tradition of preparing for SEC opponents by playing one of the toughest non-conference schedules in the nation. With first-year head coach Mike White taking over this season, it's clear that will live on. Florida released its full non-conference slate for the 2015-16 season today, with a number of powerhouse programs awaiting the Gators. Road games at Miami and 2015 Final Four participant Michigan State highlight the away schedule, while you can look forward to seeing Florida State and West Virginia take on the Gators here in Gainesville. White called the lineup a first-rate success and says, quote, "We will learn a lot about our team early on." The Gators will look to get back to the NCAA tournament under White after a losing season last year kept them out of the postseason entirely. Florida's first game will be at Navy on November 13th. And there's news on the Gator football front today as well. Randy Shannon has been recruiting South Florida hard since he joined the Florida staff as a linebackers coach, and he helped the Gators get a big 2017 commitment today. Pun intended, 6'6", 300-plus pound O lineman Kadeem Telfort flipped from the Miami Hurricanes to Florida this morning. Telfort joins QB Jake Allen and wideout LaVaris Tigner as a class of 2017 verbal commit. Florida currently has 14 commits from the class of 2016. And while Florida football got some good news today, it hasn't been a good 24 hours for the Florida State Seminoles. Freshman quarterback DeAndre Johnson has been dismissed from the team. He's facing a charge of misdemeanor battery following an incident at a Tallahassee bar on June 24th. This graphic surveillance video appears to show Johnson, in a hat at the bottom of the video, arguing with a woman. Johnson grabs the woman's arm, she attempts to hit him, and then Johnson punches her in the face. According to court documents, the woman suffered bruising and swelling across her face. Johnson's attorney says he is regretful, embarrassed, and apologetic. The Tampa Bay Rays are taking part in a doubleheader today in Kansas City following their rainout last night. In Game 1, the score is tied 5-5 in the bottom of the ninth. The Rays just scored a run on a wild pitch in the top of the ninth to tie it. Evan Longoria provided a highlight earlier for Tampa Bay as he brought in 2 runs on his 9th home run of the season. The Rays and Royals will get back at it tonight with first pitch scheduled for just after 8 p.m. One last look at the weather after the break. Stay with us.
Some children at Tokyo International Airport were invited to make a wish the old-fashioned way. They celebrated Tanabata, or Star Festival, by writing their wishes on tanzaku, a small piece of paper to hang on a 2-meter piece of bamboo. In the Japanese culture, a legend is told that Vega and Altair are separated by the Milky Way. They're allowed to meet only once a year on the 7th day of the 7th lunar month. The children also took photos and received sweets before boarding a plane. That is such a nice tradition, I think.
It definitely is. And before we go, one last check on the weather.
Here's Rebecca.
Severe thunderstorm warning still in effect for Putnam County until 5:45 this evening. This cell capable of producing winds up to about 60 miles an hour and is producing some frequent lightning strikes as well as some heavy rain just on the western portions of Palatka. Has a bit of a northwestern movement to it and could approach portions of Keystone Heights over the next couple of minutes. Georges Lake at 6:15, Putnam Hall 6:18 as this storm continues to push to the west. Also a cell in northeastern Alachua County. This is where the sea breezes are interacting, and some of this activity is going to continue to push to the west closer to Gainesville, close to I-75, approach Luis 608, Monta Echa at 5:51, and could approach Alachua at around 6 o'clock this evening. Heavy rainfall, frequent lightning strikes, and some gusty winds all possible, and this activity, as I mentioned, could start to move towards I-75 around 7 or 8 o'clock tonight. Could be some thunderstorms with some isolated strong activity that will likely move towards the Nature Coast. Most areas dry by 11 o'clock tonight. Increased rain chances Wednesday. They drop for the rest of the week. Back to you.
Thanks, Rebecca, and thank you at home for watching. We'll have another TV edition tomorrow at 5, but you can get more at WUFT News 24/7 at WUFT.org.
On the website right now, you can learn about a Florida man who turned to biking to help escape from addiction and stress. Good night.